World-famous bedtime stories from Mom. Today's story is The Little Prince. Beyond the Milky Way, in the deep sky far away, there was a very small star. This star was so small that, with just a few steps, you could easily make a full circle around it. Yet despite its small size, this star held a magical secret. One day, a morning as sparkling as the starlight dawned, something special was happening on this small star. The wind blew softly and the starlight shone warmly. As the little prince, the protagonist of this small star, awoke from his sleep, the little prince found life on his star peaceful and quiet. But sometimes he felt lonely. So he dreamt of new discoveries on his tiny star and prepared for an adventure. On the small star alongside the little prince lived a beautiful single rose. This rose was the most precious being to the little prince. Every morning he greeted the rose and lovingly watered it with care. "Good morning, my rose. Today you look more beautiful than ever," said the little prince. The rose shyly smiled in response to the little prince's words and thanked him for his care. However, the rose also felt lonely at times. So, to keep the rose from feeling lonely, the little prince spent his days telling it new stories. But one day, the rose began to express dissatisfaction with life on the small star. "It gets too cold in the evening. Can't you cover me with a glass dome?" complained the rose. "It's too cold here and the wind blows hard. I hope you understand that I am much more delicate than the other flowers." The little prince listened to the rose's request. He covered it with a glass dome every evening and set up a windbreak when the wind blew. The little prince wished for the rose's happiness, but the rose's complaints only grew. The little prince's heart began to hurt from the rose's constant complaints. "The rose just keeps grumbling. Am I no longer needed by her?" thought the little prince sadly. Then one day, the little prince made a big decision. He decided to leave his beloved rose behind to meet new friends and explore various stars. Packing a small bag, he followed the path led by the starlight and embarked on a new adventure. "Goodbye, my rose. I will not forget you," whispered the little prince, stepping into the star-filled sky. And he headed to his first destination, the star where a boaster lived. The first place the little prince arrived at after leaving his star was the star where a boaster lived. The owner of this star boasted that he was the most magnificent and intelligent being on the star. "I am the greatest entity on this star. I am always first in everything," exclaimed the boaster, starting to list his great achievements to the little prince. However, the little prince found the boaster's words uninteresting. His words were empty and self-centered. Knowing the value of true friendship and communication, the little prince could not find such qualities in his conversation with the boaster. Thus, he quickly decided to continue his journey to other stars. Next, the little prince visited a star where a wealthy man lived. The rich man was counting coins in a room filled with gold and jewels. "Hello, sir?" the little prince greeted, but the rich man, without looking up, angrily said, "Go away. You made me lose count of my money." Disappointed by the wealthy man's attitude, the little prince already knew that having a lot of money does not guarantee true happiness. He could not find a true friend on this star filled with wealth and knowledge either. Then the little prince visited a star where a scholar lived. Surrounded by books, maps, and constellations, the scholar was deeply engrossed in his research. "Grandfather, what is there on this star?" the little prince asked, but the scholar replied, "I don't know about such things. I just study." The little prince did not understand the scholar's words. A life dedicated only to pursuing knowledge seemed to lack true meaning and value. After visiting several stars, the little prince finally arrived on Earth. Earth was vast, beautiful, and full of diverse life and cultures. Mesmerized by the beauty of Earth, the little prince also wondered if he could find true friends in this vast world. The little prince sat quietly on a hill, gazing at the earth and pondering. "Can I find friends here?" he whispered to himself, beginning his quest to meet his first friend on Earth. As the little prince began to walk on Earth, he soon reached a beautiful rose garden. The garden, with roses in full bloom, was mesmerizing. Astonished, the little prince exclaimed, "My star's flower looks just like these. There are so many." The little prince had thought the rose on his star was the only one of its kind in the world. But here in this garden there were countless roses, leading the little prince into deep thought. "How special is the rose I love?" he pondered, delving once again into deep contemplation about true love and friendship. As the little prince left the rose garden and explored Earth further, he reached a green meadow. There he lay down in the grass, overwhelmed with deep sadness, and cried. Suddenly a fox appeared from behind a tree. "Hello? Why are you crying?" asked the fox cautiously. The little prince looked up in surprise and gazed at the fox. "Hello? I'm very sad. I thought the rose I love was the only one in the world, but it's not," the little prince replied. The fox approached the little prince and said, "Then I'll be your friend and comfort you. But first we need to get to know each other. Becoming friends means becoming precious to each other." Intrigued by the fox's words, the little prince and the fox made an effort to become friends. Through this process, the little prince learned the true meaning of friendship and love. "I thought the rose on our star was the only one. But there are so many roses here that look just the same," said the little prince, and the fox replied, "No, they're not the same at all. Despite the many flowers here, they mean nothing to you. Only the rose on your star remembers you, and you remember it too," the fox explained. Hearing the fox's words, the little prince realized how precious the rose he loved was in the world. Spending time with the fox, the little prince learned an important lesson. The fox's words deeply imprinted on the little prince's heart. Having gained deep insight from his meeting with the fox, the little prince looked up at the sky and thought of his star. "Will my flower remember me?" He pondered. Of course, because you were the one who watered it and caught bugs for it. You and the flower have a very special relationship, replied the fox. At that moment the little prince decided he needed to return to his rose. He bid farewell to the fox, saying, "Fox, I have to go back to my rose." The fox smiled and saw off the little prince. "Yes, go well. Don't forget our meeting." After bidding farewell to the fox, the little prince prepared to return to his star. The meeting with the fox taught the little prince the value of true love and friendship. With the lesson from the fox in his heart, he wanted to return to his star and once again confirm his love for the rose. "Fox, thank you. Because of you, I understand what true love is. Now I know how precious my rose is," the little prince muttered to himself, slowly walking the path led by the starlight. After parting with the fox, the little prince began his journey back to his star. He carried the lessons learned from his travels in his heart, wanting to return to his beloved rose and show her she was the most precious being in the world.